to Hollywood, to the mayor's office, and now behind the mic at KXEX. This is the Alan Autry Show. No retreat.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody grabbing out there. Nobody.
That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So, 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable. Free at last! Free at last! Thank God Almighty! We are free at
Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
Guillermo Moreno filling in for the great, the legendary, the man, the myth, the legend, Alan Autry, guest hosting today. He will be back on Monday, but he asked me to come in and fill in for Free for All. That's what he calls it, right? Free for All Friday. So we'll talk about whatever you want. We'll talk about Joe Biden and his horrible leadership. He apparently today in a 2-hour phone call with China's Xi Jinping, he was firm. Joe Biden was tough. I'll tell you what he probably was. It probably was fickle and conciliatory and not showing the American strength as he should. So we can talk about that. We can talk about March Madness, which I know zero about. We can talk about whatever you want. So I also appreciate Facebook fans as well of Alan Autry. Again, I'm not. Even though Alan Autry and I share, the same studio, I'm not Alan Autry. And I thought about it before the show. I said, Alan Autry has such good one-liners. I mean, and I was like, man, I got to think of some one-liners that are just really good, right? Like, the pond is a mile wide but an inch deep. I don't know what it means. But that sounds cool, right? Like the pond is a mile wide, and yeah, my producer's just not looking at it. But let's get into what Alan normally gets into at the top of the show, and that's what's going on with Russia and Ukraine right now. We're waiting for Raggedy Ann, also known as Jen Psaki, to hit the podium in the press briefing to talk about Xi Jinping's conversation with Joe Biden. We do know this from what the reports are coming out of the phone conversation with Joe Biden and Xi Jinping. If you missed it, and I can't get the audio up as quickly as my mind is going through it. If you missed it yesterday, Joe Biden said about his phone call, man, I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to talk to Xi Jinping. But man, damn, he remembers everything. And I thought to myself, yeah, they're the Chinese. They're going to remember everything. They're going to spy on you. They're going to know exactly everything going on in your family. But it was just funny to hear Joe Biden talk about his phone call with Xi Jinping today, saying, man, the Chinese remember everything, but I'm going to be tough. I'm going to be tough on Xi Jinping. The reality is Joe Biden can't even be coherent. There is no way this man is going to be tough. He wasn't tough at any point during the first year on any of the leaders, the world leaders that he should have been tough on. He might be saying, oh, yeah, I'm going to be as tough as I am on Iran. Is that how tough he's going to be? And you know what's going on with the Iranian nuclear deal, that horrible deal that the United States is going to come back into, where he is letting the Russians pretty much come in and mediate. Is he going to be that tough? So when I hear all this talk from the administration saying, oh, listen, the president's going to be tough with Xi Jinping. He's going to know, Xi Jinping is going to know that the Americans mean business. The left has this mentality where, they believe that they can talk their way into anything and out of their, essentially, whatever problems they have. But we know what the reality is with Xi Jinping and the Chinese. If you remember, They were scolding Secretary Blinken a couple of months ago. They were scolding the Americans, talking about how they are essentially in charge and how the Americans can't be going around telling them what to do. So when the Biden administration comes out and says, oh, we're going to be tough on China, we know that ain't going to happen. And we're waiting for Raggedy Ann to come out. And producer, if we could have it, you could pull up the White House press briefing. We're waiting for Peppermint Patty, as Dan Bongino calls her, Peppermint Patty, to come on out. And when she does, I want to take a little bit of it and figure out what she's going to say and what she's going to spin. But you notice how this administration has just been ill-equipped, ill-prepared, unwilling to do really much of anything. And today we're finding out that the casualties in Ukraine, the civilian casualties, are just adding up. Vladimir Klitschko, the mayor of Kiev, came out and said, hey, this really isn't a war on Ukrainian, essentially, politicians and with Zelensky. This is a war on civilians. What Vladimir Putin is he's brought this war upon civilians. So the reality is now that nobody wants to touch this. And I spoke about this with a retired Marine Corps colonel yesterday as we were discussing what's going on with Israel, the Middle East, because it all comes into play. When there's weak American leadership on the world stage, bad things happen. When we're not the policemen of the world, bad things happen. And I had a great conversation with him, and we were talking about this because you have a lot of conservatives, and I'll mention them. You have individuals like Tucker Carlson, and I think Sean Hannity is going down this road now, where essentially they say, hey, listen, man, we really don't have anything in Ukraine. There's really no reason why we need to be over there. Let's try to prevent, another Iraq. And I'm not saying that the United States needs to go in there and necessarily do a no-fly zone. I think we need to arm the Ukrainians with everything that they need, and we probably should have done it a long time ago. We shouldn't have been waiting this long. But I'm of the opinion, and it's okay if you disagree with me. That's the beauty about America. I'm not like a liberal. I'm not going to shut you down because you have a different viewpoint than me. But my viewpoint is the Americans should be the policemen of the world because, listen, we like police, right? And this is what John Somerville told me, retired Marine Corps colonel, said, when I hear that America shouldn't be the policeman of the world, we should really think about that because we like law enforcement in this country, right? We respect law enforcement in this country. So when someone says, oh, you know what, America shouldn't go around being the policeman of the world, whoa, no, listen. Police are good. Yeah, now, granted, in any industry, you have a couple of bad apples. I'm not going to sit here and tell you everyone's perfect because in every industry, as we learned in the medical industry, Dr. Anthony Fauci, and later on we'll have some Dr. Anthony Fauci clips, you have a couple of bad apples. That's not representative of the whole. But we like police. I think America should be the world's policeman. I don't think we should go and intervene in every possible conflict, but I think we have to be methodical. We have to figure this out because the greater question is this. If the United States isn't policing the world, who's going to police the world? Because somebody will. And I talked to a lot of naive conservatives who say, no, listen, man, we just need to be hands off. We need to be hands off. Don't do anything. Ukraine, let's watch from afar. Let's not do anything. We have no reason. No, listen. American leadership matters. And you don't necessarily need to be on the beat like a police officer. Had Joe Biden shown any type of leadership, as soon as he was sworn into the Oval, had he taken any type of leadership, we wouldn't be in this situation. Remember when he was campaigning and not when he was talking about corn pop or anything like that. But remember he said, oh, man, when I listen, man, here's the deal. That's a horrible Biden impression. But no, his eyes get kind of squinty. Listen, man, here's the deal. When I'm in office, I'm going to be tough on Putin. Like, no, dude, you're not. You're not going to be tough on Putin. Come on, man. You're not going to be tough on Putin. But American leadership matters. This is why Putin didn't dare do this during the Trump administration. You don't have to go around as the United States, and we don't have to intervene in every conflict to be the world's policeman. You just got to do what Trump did and say, hey, listen, you over there. Yeah, you little dictator over there. Buddy, now listen, if you pop off, trust me, you're going to be leveled. All right? So don't even think about doing it. Don't even dare about doing it because we're going to handle you. And a lot of these world leaders, especially the bad ones, said, hey, you know what? This Trump guy, he's not like the rest of them. We haven't heard his name for 40 years like Joe Biden. And I like what Mitch McConnell said today. You like Mitch McConnell? I like Mitch McConnell sometimes. I like the way, Joe Biden's been wrong for 40 years. He's a nice guy, but Joe Biden's been wrong for 40 years. Mitch McConnell. And he's right. Joe Biden has been wrong for 40 years. Which, begs the question, why in the heck did the vast majority, and it's not the vast majority because I don't believe this election was fair. But it begs the question, why would you send someone with that lack of experience into the Oval? And more so, why in the heck would you send someone that has zero experience with virtually anything? And I'm talking about Kamala Harris into the vice presidency. I think Laura Fisher said this a couple of days ago. She said the only thing that Kamala Harris is essentially the only thing she could do appropriately is bringing snacks into the cabinet meeting, which I got a chuckle or two out of that one. But nonetheless, this is what's going to happen. Let me tell you what's going to happen. And I'm not sure. I think the Ukrainian president, I'm not sure when he was supposed to appear in front of the Germans. I know he's going to appear in front of the Knesset in Israel. He is Jewish, so expect him to really make an impassioned plea and compare what Ukrainians are going through, similar to what the Jewish people went through. So he's going to make an impassioned plea. I know a lot of people right now are saying, well, Israel should do more. Israel's got enemies surrounding them. The Russians are with the Syrians, so you got to be very careful. This is a dicey situation. And at the end of the day, and this is my opinion here, this is Guillermo Moreno's opinion, at the end of the day, NATO doesn't want to get involved. Joe Biden doesn't want to get involved. Putin's in over his head. The Ukrainians are fighting like hell. Nobody thought they were going to put up this much of a fight. The Chinese will find out what the Chinese and how that phone conversation went, but no one wants to touch this. So this is really a time when if you had a good American president, we probably could be seeing the end of this. But you don't have American leadership at all. And it seems to me that when I watch Secretary Blinken and when I watch the other important individuals, and I put it in air quotes, the ones that are really not really running the ship, I think Obama's people are still behind pulling the puppet strings. But when you watch these individuals, they don't know anything. They're in over their heads. If you were to put me in a OR, an operating room, if you were to put me in brain surgery and you were to glove me up, give me all the cutting stuff, the medical, I don't even know what they're called, and you ask me, hey, Dr. Moreno, how's it going? Oh, well, I got the patient there. I got this knife here. I think I'm going to cut him. Which leg is this? Or where are we going? You know that I don't know what I'm doing. You know right away. I have no idea. I'm in over my head. I'm not competent enough I can't perform surgery on you. And when you watch a lot of these administration officials, they look the same. They have that deer in the headlights look. I think it's time for, hopefully, and America will realize this in a couple of months in the midterms, we're in over our heads with who we have. They have no idea how to lead. And in fact, and I don't remember who, I think Charlie Kirk said this. No, it was Hugh Hewitt. Joe Biden is leading from behind. This guy is always late. Oh, the Russians are in Ukraine now. Well, maybe we should give them what they need. Yeah, no, you should have given him what they needed a long time ago. 559-899-1550. 559-899-1550. You want to be a part of Free for All Friday? Give me your input about Ukraine. When we come back, we're waiting for Raggedy Ann to take the podium at the White House. Also, I do have kind of a sports interesting story. Daniil Medvedev, he is the Russian tennis player, Russian star. When we come back, he might not be able to play in Wimbledon. You know, Wimbledon, the storied lawn tennis tournament. He might not be able to play in Wimbledon because he's Russian and they don't know if he's denounced Putin. They've already removed the Russian flag from his name when he plays in tournaments. I want to give you my opinion, and I'm actually on the Russian side on this one. I'll give you that when we come back here on the Alan Autry Show. Guillermo Moreno filling in. And the world's first virtual beer is... I'll tell you about that when I come back. I read the wrong tease. Hey, we appreciate you tuning in on Facebook Live again. Alan couldn't be here. He will be back on Monday. So I encourage you to, well, stay, you know, let me know what your thoughts are. But definitely tune back in for Alan on Monday. My show comes on at 4 p.m. here, local standard time. We're going to handle the mess that is at Fresno City Hall. And if you're not from Fresno, oh, man, we got some people doing some bad stuff. Politicians just do bad things. They really do. All right, we got Debbie from Kentucky, Delilah from Virginia, Dolores, Maryland. Oh, man, look at that. Happy Friday from Pat and Alan's Army from sunny, warm Massachusetts, 68. Man, 68, that's nice. Let's see here. Good afternoon from Florida, sunny Florida, Tennessee, checking in. We miss Alan. Thanks for filling in. I agree. I don't know nothing about March Madness. I don't know either. I know Warren Buffett at one time was offering like $1 billion if you got the entire bracket right. But I don't think anyone's won that. Could you just fill out like every possible bracket for every possible? You probably couldn't. It would probably take forever. Yeah, Raggedy Ann. We're waiting for Raggedy Ann. She's probably trying to make her. She's probably trying to stuff the binder as we know it. Because you know how they ask her a question and she's like, yeah, let me. That's a great question. That's a really good question. I'm really glad you asked that question. You know what? I'm gonna have to circle back. So we're gonna wait on Raggedy Ann. Sunny, Southern Utah. Oh, man, I love Utah. Park City, Utah. Do you guys like Mitt Romney in Southern Utah? Just asking for a friend. Debbie, New Hampshire. Oh, man, New Hampshire. Mud season in New Hampshire. That's all. We don't have mud because we don't have water. So, hello, Big Cheese. Thanks for coming. The Grande Queso from Eric Rollins, the Constitutionalist. Melissa, that's funny. Biden is not and will never be tough. Never. All right. We're about to get back in. Let me pull up the Daniel Medvedev story. Feel free to call in. Free for all Friday.
I think she's supposed to be on podium.
Raggedy Ann? Okay. We'll take her for a little bit. I'm sure she should talk about the Chinese. She'll probably come out and talk about the president's schedule, which nobody cares about.
1 minute.
He's probably going to the beach. Where's Hunter? That's what I want to know. Where's that dude? Where is this? Oh, you know what? I emailed it to myself. Hey, can I borrow the mouse real quick? Thanks.
You got 30 seconds.
30 seconds. 30 seconds. Ah. Okay, got it. Perfect. How much time?
12.
Yeah, I'm just going to mute this, and I'm just going to leave it here. In the next segment, I do want to play this audio right here.
All right, 5 seconds.
Got blood on my hands. Got blood on my hands.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX. Call Alan now. 559-899-1550.
What's happening?
Guillermo Moreno filling in for Alan Autry. I always like filling in for people because we all have different tastes in music. Like, I'm a millennial, so I'm a good millennial. I'm a good conservative millennial. I'm not those millennials that are going to abandon the United States if Russia ever invades. But blood on my hand. Who sings this? I'm not sure. See, that's the problem with it. We don't. I'm telling you, he's got a good bumper. I like mine better because I know who's. But this is very appropriate here. Blood on our hands. All right, here we go. First, Chinese President Xi Jinping has permanent members. Blah blah blah. But also shoulder out, and they switched it too fast on the screen. But Raggedy Ann will be hitting the stage fairly quickly. Oh, it's not a stage. I apologize. The White House press briefing room. All right, I want to get to really quickly before we do that, producer. Let me get this on the screen because we talk a lot about athletes and All right, here's Raggedy Ann. Should we just take her? Yeah, let's go ahead. We're going to take Jen Psaki.
Going to the prom together.
Right here live.
Well, okay. Just one item for all of you at the top. On Monday, the president will join the Business Roundtable CEO quarterly meeting at their headquarters in Washington, D.C. to discuss the United States response to Russia's unprovoked and unjustified war with Ukraine, and the president's plans to lower costs for working families, create good-paying union jobs, and tackle the climate crisis. On Wednesday, as you all know, he will travel to Brussels, Belgium, where he will have a packed Thursday. He's traveling that day. There's not a schedule that day, but eat your Wheaties.
Yeah, we get what that means.
Eat your spinach. It's going to be a long Thursday because on Thursday, to start the day, the president will attend an extraordinary NATO summit to discuss ongoing deterrence and defense efforts in response to Russia's unprovoked and unjustified attack on Ukraine. He will also reaffirm our ironclad commitment to our NATO allies and to defend every inch of our NATO territory.
All right, producer, we're going to watch. When she actually starts talking about the important stuff, let me know, because I don't want to subject Alan's audience here to Raggedy Ann talk about the scheduling in Ukraine and talking to everyone like they're immature fifth graders. We understand what a schedule is, and we understand when people are traveling. So we'll turn back to Raggedy Ann as soon as she starts talking about the phone call that Biden had with Xi Jinping. I do want to go into right now something that's really that's been on my radar here. And that is, I'm a big tennis player, and Daniel Medvedev is a tennis player. Now, listen to me. This isn't just tennis player trivia here. So tennis is the only sport I can think of right now that basically said they're removing the flag from the name of the Russian, and there's another country. I don't know which one it is, but the Russians. So if they're playing, they're removing the Russian flag from their name, because you know how they have the screens, the big billboards that have their name, and it has the country that they're from, because tennis is an international sport. And they're saying now that they're removing the Russian flag from these tennis players that are from Russia. And it really irritates me, because listen, you can't take that away. The guy's from Russia. They're making some stupid moves. Vladimir Putin obviously doesn't know what the heck he's doing, but the tennis player is still from Russia. He's not Putin's nephew. He's not a politician. He's a tennis player, and they're removing the flag. Now you're probably saying, "Oh, Guillermo, they probably should. Russia's bad." Well, no. Think about this, because cancel culture likes to cancel anybody for any stupid reason and an unjustified reason. Imagine Americans getting the flag removed from their name. It's absolutely stupid. Like, listen, I'm a proud American. If I were to go, if I were to play tennis on an international stage, or whatever sport you're thinking that's more international, you're still from that country. And it kind of bothered me that the Olympics did this is Raggedy Ann talking about? All right, we'll come back to this. Here's Raggedy Ann. I think they're talking about the conversation between President Biden and Xi Jinping earlier.
The president has tasked the efforts to sort of build up the Western alliance as sort of the democracies versus autocracy. One very large, the largest democracy in the world is in fact buying Russian oil right now at a discount, expanding its purchases, taking advantage of the situation. Does the White House have any response to India's purchases there? And does the president plan to reach out to the Indian government to try to get that decision reversed?
Well, we have not. We made a decision about banning the Russian import of oil. Every country has not made that decision, and we recognize that. And they have different economic reasoning as to why different countries do, including some in Europe. We have been in touch, of course, with Indian leaders at a range of levels, not through the president. If that happens, we will, of course, provide that readout and information to all of you. But what we would project or convey to any leader around the world is that the rest of the world is watching where you're going to stand as it relates to this conflict, whether it's support for Russia in any form as they are illegally invading Ukraine.
And just on a different topic, on COVID, we saw this week Pfizer request a EUA for...
did I miss the Chinese? Did she say you can't ask about China, or what's going on here? Like, the most important thing today, this is why you have to be just just really questioning the mainstream media. If this were the Trump administration, I mean, they'd be hammering him by now. What are we talking about? COVID still? Seriously? We're talking about the president of the United States met with Xi Jinping over the phone. Xi Jinping really is pulling the strings of Putin. This should be the only thing of importance right now. So I don't. All right, when she does talk about it, if she ever does, we'll come back to it. I want to go back to this thing here. So let me play for you, and I want to make sure if I play it from here, producer, people can see it, right? Okay. So listen to them describe, and I hope I have it at the right time here. Daniel Medvedev here is essentially going to be asked his positioning, a tennis player, because he's Russian, on the Russian aggression in Ukraine. It sounds like he might not even be able to play in Wimbledon if he doesn't give the right response. Listen to the. All right, we got to mute Raggedy Ann first before we go any further here. Are they still now they're talking about China. All right, man, we're just like a ping pong today. All right, let's go to Raggedy Ann.
Look at them and view their actions, and that is a decision for President Xi and the Chinese to make.
Given the growing concerns about China possibly aligning with Russia, would you say it's more concerning at this point that they would help Russia resupply, help Russia with military equipment, or that they would offer economic support to help Russia evade sanctions?
Any of those would be concerning to us, but I'm not going to give a rank order assessment of which we're more concerned about.
And you don't have a sense that China may be leaning more in one direction or another?
Not an assessment I can provide from here.
I guess sort of a logistical question. You know, the Chinese got out a readout of the call fairly quickly.
Before it was even done.
It was, I think, 3.5, maybe
remarkable.
Before your readout was out. Should we read anything into the time that it took to get your side of the story out?
So it was a lengthy call, as you all know. 2-hour call is of course a lengthy call, even with translation.
No, it's not.
What typically happens, and this
older,
time is a little longer than typical, but is there's a meeting to discuss what happened during the meeting and assess what kind of information we can provide publicly. Obviously, we want to do as much as that as possible to all of you, but we also want to ensure we're protecting the diplomatic channels and conversations. So it was an effort to do exactly that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, so, we've spoken to U.S. and European diplomats who say that there's still not exactly an agreement on what the red line would be, that, when China would face consequences. Can you say a little bit more about those discussions and whether there is agreement with
You're listening live to Jen Psaki, White House press briefing secretary. Take questions from the press corps.
What sort of consequences?
Well, Andrea, I would say, the movement of China to align with Russia, or to the movement of them to align with Russia, or their proximity of moving closer together, is certainly of great concern to us, as we have expressed. And we are not the only country that has expressed that concern, including many other members of the G7 have expressed exactly that concern. So this is part of the discussion. It has been an ongoing part of the discussion. Expect it certainly would be when the president goes to Europe next week, but we're not in a place at this point to outline the specifics. We're still discussing.
And then just to follow up on that, initially, I think going into the call, we were expecting that there would be discussion about Iran and North Korea as well. Did the two leaders get around to those issues, and are they any closer in terms of alignment on those issues? And then just to your first point, or your response, one of the issues that has separated the U.S. and China in recent years has been disputes over trade and lots of tariffs. Would you anticipate that China would face a larger trade war if or additional sanctions and tariffs if it does proceed to align more closely?
Well, we have a range of tools that could be considered, and sanctions are certainly one tool in the toolbox, as they are for other countries as well, even if we have not outlined specific consequences, and we'll communicate those directly to China and, of course, with our European partners and counterparts. The call was focused, as the readout conveyed. The vast majority of it was on Russia's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine, but also the issue of Taiwan was raised by the Chinese, and the president reiterated that U.S. policy on Taiwan has not changed. That was really the vast majority of the focus of the call. Obviously, there are a range of issues and topics we discussed with the Chinese, and as a part of this call, there was an agreement on ensuring there was an open line of communication and that the discussion would continue in this critical period ahead. Of course, at lower levels. Go ahead.
During this tour call, did President Xi ever refer to it as an invasion?
We'll let President Xi and his team outline any more specifics about his component of the conversation.
Why not reveal if he called it an invasion or called it a war?
Because we don't, as a policy, speak for other countries. They can speak for themselves.
Yesterday, Secretary Blinken said the administration was concerned that China is considering answering Russia's request for more military equipment. After this terror call, does the White House still have that concern?
We have that concern. The president detailed, what the implications and consequences would be if China provides material support to Russia as it conducts brutal attacks against Ukrainian cities and civilians. And obviously, that is something we will be watching and the world will be watching.
So that concern hasn't gone away following the call?
Obviously, actions are a key part of what we'll be watching.
And Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov says that Russia will view any weapons shipments into Ukraine as, quote, legitimate targets. Obviously, President Biden just authorized $800 million in more security assistance, aka weapons potentially going into Ukraine. So what is the president's response to that comment?
Well, that's a threat that he has made before, I would just note, Foreign Minister Lavrov. I would note that just in terms of how it works, without getting into too many logistics, of course, there are no U.S. troops operating inside Ukraine. Our forces are in NATO territory, and so are NATO forces in NATO territory. So as we're talking about the operations of the movement of convoys and the movement of assistance.
All right, I'm gonna cut her off right there because she's not going to give us any pertinent information that we would value. Although she did slip there, and I'll tell you what the most important thing is. But I kind of get the gist of what went on here. So it's a 2-hour phone call, and she says it's a long time. 2 hours is a long time, well, especially for Joe Biden. We totally get it. But this is a reality. They said, hey, listen, Biden was going to warn China. He's going to warn China. It looks like this phone conversation was really dictated by China. China is the one that decided what they were going to discuss. She mentioned there, and I don't know if you caught this, that China raised Taiwan. So she threw it in there. I'm not sure if she accidentally threw it in there, but this tells me that China led the conversation, not Joe Biden. And she literally said, raised the issue of Taiwan. China raised the issue of Taiwan. So this phone conversation was built to be, hey, listen, we're going to warn you, China. Biden was tough. He's going to warn China. No, it looks like China is in the driver's seat telling the Americans, hey, listen, this is what's going on, all right? She's not being committal with whether China at this point would call it a war or an invasion. There is nothing substantial here in this phone conversation that went on. So what you got to know is this phone conversation was essentially, it's never a waste of time when two leaders get together to talk, but I don't want you to think that this was Joe Biden, just telling the Chinese, hey, listen, man, we're in charge. We're going to try to figure this out. You need to stay out of this. You need to not arm Putin. You need to not do this, not do this. Yeah. Do you firmly believe that Joe Biden was telling Xi Jinping what to do and what not to do? No. And the mere fact that Raggedy Ann just said, hey, China raised the issue of Taiwan. I guarantee you, there's things in that phone conversation, obviously, that we'll never know. But it wouldn't surprise me if China said, hey, just throwing this out there. Being that you're so non-committal to this, Taiwan is really getting on our nerves. It wouldn't surprise me if Xi Jinping made it clear to Biden that they still want Taiwan. They have every intention on moving. And it wouldn't surprise me if Biden said, hey, listen, guys, try to hold off. When they talked about sanctions, and this is why I know China was leading the conversation as well, because they said, hey, are you guys thinking about, imposing sanctions on China? A tough president would say, hell yeah. Trump would have said, absolutely. Well, we wouldn't be in this situation, but if Trump inherited this situation, he would have said, yeah, of course. I told them that if they do this, I'm going to sanction them to where. She said, as much of the administration has said, well, all of the tools are in the toolbox. I've been hearing about this damn toolbox now for I don't know how many weeks. There is no toolbox. People that don't know how to lead have no tools, because if they did, they would have been in the situation to begin with. So Raggedy Ann, Jen Psaki, You know, where everything's either in the toolbox or on the table with these people. Hey, did you tell China that if they dare do something wrong that we're going to impose sanctions and we'll start a trade war? We know it's in the toolbox. Hey, Secretary Blinken, what do you... well, you know, it's on the table. Everything's on the table. These non-committal answers are a waste of time, and they show a lack of leadership. Biden wasn't tough on Xi Jinping in his phone conversation. The Chinese, I guarantee you, were tough. It wouldn't surprise me if the Chinese got on the phone conversation and pretty much told Joe Biden, hey, buddy, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. All right? All right, we want to take some, we'll start taking some phone calls. I know we're up against a break. You know what? We'll just go right through because I want to make sure everyone gets through. All right, let's go straight to Alabama and Lynn Holt, Alabama.
Yes, this is me. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's a pleasure. I've heard you on Alan's show, and it's an honor to talk to you.
Well, it's an honor to talk to you. But I just could not resist telling you this.
Oh, tell me.
You remember the old movie, Annabelle, right?
I don't.
About the possessed doll?
Oh, yes. I do. Okay, yeah. I know where you're going with it.
Well, you know that the original Annabelle was a Raggedy Ann doll. And they have her locked up in a glass case in a museum for the paranormal. Well, I got to thinking, here's the thing. Maybe we should start building some glass cases and put some of these crazy people in them and put them in a museum and take our kids and grandkids to these museums and have the signs on them like they do in the paranormal museum, do not touch, because you may catch they're crazy.
Well, I'll tell you this: the Biden-Harris Raggedy Ann administration is scary. I will agree with you on that one.
Yep.
Yeah,
and I think we need to put some serious thought into those glass cases.
Well, I'll tell you what you should really do is when they build Biden's presidential library, don't take the kids. That's for darn sure. Lynn, thank you for your phone call.
No problems. Good to talk to you.
Let's go to our next phone call. Laura Fisher, Florida, 559-899-1550. That's 899-1550 if you want to get in on the Alan Autry Show free for all Friday. Laura Fisher's got info on Xi Jinping and their motives. Laura, go.
All right. I was going to save this for Alan, but I was afraid it would make his head explode because Xi Jinping really triggers him. But this is, if you'll indulge me for a minute, this is a theory that I came up with because, I don't sleep.
Sleep is for the weak.
Alan asked me a question at the beginning of the week. He asked me if I thought there could ever be something that would drive a wedge between Xi Jinping and Putin. And I initially said that I thought it would have to be something that would be economically catastrophic to China, because that is all that Xi Jinping cares about.
Agreed.
He wants to rule the entire world economically.
Well, Laura, he's afraid of that, but he's more afraid of his own people. So I would say I agree with you. His own economy and his people. He's afraid of his people ever rising up against him. It's not going to happen because he's got a pretty darn good control.
That's why he's done so many things that are different from going all the way back to Mao Zedong. He no longer does public executions. All of that ugliness has been hidden away. It all still happens, but it's all been taken away. And he's a much more enlightened leader. He now tries to empower them through brainwashing, that this is good for them. And a lot of them actually believe it. It's terrifying. But anyway, I think I was wrong in that assessment because I decided, all I focused on is what's happening with Ukraine and really kind of took my eyes off of China financial news.
Ah,
I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but for the last 10 days, Xi Jinping has been in negotiations with MBS in Saudi Arabia about accepting yen as payment for oil purchases. And we all know that all oil valuation, purchase, and sale is done in U.S. dollars.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
one of the foundational reasons that we have such strength in the U.S. dollar, along with payment for foreign debt.
Yeah, and Laura, well, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, so they have not agreed to this yet. Now, here's my theory. Along with that, Western European countries became a little sour with China when the Greece port BRI deal went sour in 2015 when Greece defaulted and China now controls 90% of that port and all of the roads that were built going all the way into the Eastern Bloc countries.
They're doing that in Africa. So, they're doing that everywhere.
Right, but this specifically caused the big three in Western Europe to say, "Oh, yeah, no, thank you." And they really have limited their investment in China. They do trade with China, but the majority of their loans and any investment they do is predominantly with U.S. and Canada. Well, that's been really, really a thorn in Xi Jinping's side. He can't stand it.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my theory. I think he's sitting over there waiting, just like a spider, for Putin to get to the point of economic collapse. And it's coming. They've got an economy the size of Italy.
Oh, yeah.
He's got $60 billion coming due in 10 days with J.P. Morgan Chase. They already said, you can't hand us American dollars? We ain't taking rubles. That's a default.
Yep.
It's going to kill him.
So what do you think China's going to do for him?
I think this conversation today was, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go over there and I'm going to prop up Russia financially. You're going to let me do it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have concessions with Putin. Number one, I take control over your oil and gas exports to Europe to get my money back.
Xi Jinping's going to own Russia.
Hold on. Yeah, he is. He is. And this is what he's going to do. He's going to tell Putin, I'm taking you to the table with Zelensky. We're going to negotiate peace, and you're going to get some of what you want. Mm-hmm. You're going to stay safe. Just let me handle it. He's going to position himself as the only world leader capable of restraining Putin. He's going to ingratiate himself with Western European countries, and he's going to go in and he's going to renegotiate that gas and oil deal with Russia and say, you've got to pay us in yen at least for 18 months because he owes me money. And the second they do that, MBS will pull the trigger on the yen. That's going to destabilize the American dollar. It will raise his credit with the World Bank, which he desperately needs because of his regulator manipulation, and it will drive a wedge between the United States and the Western European countries, and he will ipso facto become the economic superpower of the world because he will have every single civilized country on this planet economically vulnerable to him. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Laura, no, you're not at all. Laura Fisher is spot on. I mentioned this earlier, but I did not say it as eloquently and as in detail as you just laid it out. I think you're spot on. I'm actually going to cut that audio and use it for my 4 p.m. show. So Laura Fisher, thank you.
You're very welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
If you ever want any information from me, you can get my email from Alan, and I will be more than happy to provide you with any documents and everything else.
Let's do it right now. Producer, if you can take over the call. I'm going to have him give him your email so I can email you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Laura Fisher, she's spot on. Absolutely spot on. Xi Jinping is just waiting this out, watching it, waiting for Russia to fail, honestly, and to come on in like the shining knight to take care of everything. So totally agree. I think China's going to come out of this, unfortunately, as the world's... They're going to try to exert their world dominance and essentially say, hey, the Americans aren't important anymore. They can't negotiate their way out of a box. We're really in charge here. Yeah. So there you go. That's what's going on there. All right. I don't want to take a commercial break. Raggedy Ann is done, thank God, so we don't have to go back to her. I really want to talk about this because this has been on my mind. All right. I want you to hear this. Okay. So this is what's going on in tennis with a Russian tennis player who now doesn't have the flag by his name anymore. So I hope I'm joining this at the right time. Here we go. Oh, well, wait. Is Raggedy Ann still on? Oh, I apologize. I just gave you fake news. Raggedy Ann is still on. She's just... The major networks aren't taking her. But listen to this, what they're going to do to this Russian tennis player. All right, or maybe not listen to it just yet. Here we go.
By Russia, Russian and Belarusian tennis players had their country affiliations removed during pro events. British Sports Minister Nigel Huddleston may have just taken things a step further. When asked if Medvedev would be allowed to compete, Huddleston was quoted saying, "Absolutely nobody flying the flag for Russia should be allowed or enabled. We need some potential assurances that they are not supporters of Putin, and we are considering what requirements we may need to try and get some assurances along those lines." Should denouncing Putin be required to compete? Let us know your thoughts below.
All right, so you get the premise, right? Russian tennis and Belarus, Russian tennis players are getting their country affiliation removed, and it, by their name, it says their name and what country they're from, as do most international sports, right? You have the country and the player or the team. It looks like tennis has said, you know what? We don't like what Russia's doing. We're removing the flag. And now it looks like tennis is taking it a bit further. Well, Wimbledon is, and we all know Wimbledon, the storied Grand Slam, is saying, hey, listen, we might not even let you play unless you denounce Putin. I think this is absolutely garbage. All right? Medvedev, one of the top tennis players in the world, can't go back and tell his mom, hey, why didn't you have me in this other country? This is absolutely stupid. You cannot change a person's place of birth. You want to know who wants to change things like that? It's always the left. You don't identify as being Russian anymore. You can identify as being a Brit. No, you can't. You can't take away the country you were born in. The left wants to do this, and we can go into an entire border conversation on what this is going. But the left wants to make everybody global citizens. So I think this is absolutely stupid and wrong. Listen, I don't like what Russia's doing, but the people from Russia are still from Russia. The tennis player was still born in Russia. Just like every other tennis player, their country affiliation is right by their name. This is absolutely stupid. And then you see what they're doing now is saying, hey, by the way, you're going to need to denounce your president. Okay, so we're going to tell an international athlete, if you want to play in this third Grand Slam, which every tennis player wants to play Wimbledon, right? I can't even step foot on one of the courts. Did you know that? They care about their grass so much you can't even walk on it. But could you imagine this? Tennis is going to make an athlete, or Wimbledon essentially, is going to make the athlete say, you need to denounce your country's president. And he's going to say, okay, fine, I'll do it. Do you think he's going to be able to enter the country? You think Putin's going to be like, oh, okay. Oh, yeah, don't worry. I totally get it. You wanted to play tennis at Wimbledon. I know you had to denounce me. Go ahead and come back into the country. It's stupidity on multiple levels. And listen, irrespective of our views on Russia, we cannot make athletes do this, because what's going to end up happening is, and don't just listen, it's only a matter of time, and we kind of do it already, cancel culture, but it's only a matter of time before the left starts doing this with American athletes. Oh, that athlete is conservative. Well, you know what? We don't want you to play because you bat for that team. I don't know, but this really bothered me. It really bothered me that we would be, and it's not me, that a sports industry would be saying, "Hey, we're going to remove that." It's stupid, and I personally don't like it. 559-899-1550, 899-1550. I think we have a couple of comments coming in with regards to my tennis story. Here we go. Vicky, sports and politics should never mix. Absolutely. Not only that, but I was with with someone that runs an entertainment venue, and we were talking about, entertainment venues, concerts, sports. There are certain things that you just don't insert anything. We want to go and we want to see athletes that do what they're good at. We want to see movies without having some political connotation. Not everything has to be political. It really doesn't. When I get home, I don't want to think about politics. There's so much greater to do. There's so much good things in America besides politics. So, Vicky, I really like what you said there. Sports and politics should never mix. Pat agrees with me on tennis. So true, Vicky. Yeah, and just wait. Just wait. It's only a matter of time. Tom Brady, he's conservative. It's only a matter of time before they try to cancel him, and it's only a matter of time before they try and cancel conservative athletes. And you know they're going to do it. You know cancel culture is on the way. You know that's going to happen. Hey, this really bugged me today, so I wanted to make sure that I got this out for you. All right, let's go on to what else. You know what? I actually don't think I even got to this here. Here's some kind of just crazy news for you as we end our hour here, because I don't want you to just go away and just say, oh man, there's nothing but bad news. There are good things going on in the world. Good news, all right? So I'm going to give you some good news, because everybody enjoys good news. And Larry Powell is on our station. He always gives us good news. So here's some good news for you. A kid in Nebraska turned 1 yesterday. Meanwhile, her mom turned 32, and the grandmother turned 67. Yes, all three were born on St. Patty's Day. The odds of it happening to 3 generations in a row are about 100,000 to 1. That's pretty cool. That's good news. All right, your good news story number 2. Everyone at an old folks home in Minnesota got to go on spring break this month. Did they take the nursing home to Vegas, Cancun, Florida? Listen, I've been around seniors, and they all want to get out of the senior home and go to like Vegas. That's every senior's dream. Or technically, they didn't go anywhere. What are you talking about? The place threw a huge spring break party with lots of games, including drinking games. One lady was amped because she never played beer pong before. They also had a flip cup and Jell-O shots with alcohol at this Minnesota nursing home. I like that. You know, that's the way the millennials are going to be. You know that by the time we get to the nursing home, we're going to run amok. The nurses aren't going to want to deal with us. They're going to be like, oh, heck no, we're out of this. That's your good news story. Jell-O shots. Nursing home Jell-O shots. All right, third good news story here. A guy in Oregon forgot about a lottery ticket he got on Christmas Eve, finally checked the numbers, and realized he had won $8.9 million. Listen, if you haven't checked that lotto ticket and it's, in the desk drawer somewhere, do it. You can actually go online and just check it. Maybe you have millions of dollars right now that you don't know about. And because you're listening to me, I'm telling you to go check that ticket. You could be a millionaire, which means I should receive a finder's fee. Alan, and I'll split it with Alan Autry when he gets back. Finder's fee. Finally, a video of a guy in Louisiana who's in his 90s is making the rounds. You may have also seen a segment on CBS News, did this on him last year. He has dementia, and his memory resets every 15 minutes. But he's the most popular guy on the block. His house is across from a daycare, and he loves kids. So each day, he gets to meet all of them like it's the first time, and it's been happening for years. The kids love him and know he's got memory issues, so they're very patient. His daughter says that he was lonely and suffering for a long time, but then the kids came into his life, so now he's happy, even if he doesn't always know why. See? This made me forget about Raggedy Ann and Joe Biden and the horribleness of it all. See, this is why we need some good news. Good news. And don't forget, you can always listen to Good News with Larry Powell right here on our station, 10 a.m., 4 p.m. You're not going to want to miss my show at 4 p.m. I have Fresno City Council member Gary Bredefeld. We're going to be talking about Fresno City Council members spending a lot of money on city credit cards, wasting taxpayer money. And also, retired Marine Corps Colonel John Somerville joins me here in studio for my show as we talk about Israel, the Middle East, and everything going on. Thank you so much to Alan's Autry's Army. Thank you so much to everybody tuning in all over the nation. He'll be back on Monday. That's it for me. You're listening to the best talk in town, Talk Radio 1550 KXEX, and at KXEXradio.com. Until then. Hey, Facebook, thank you so much for being so kind and nice to me. Alan Autry has big shoes to fill. Thank you so much. Thank you, Vicky. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, everyone. And we'll see you. I'll see you on Alan's show next Wednesday. I'll join him.